Hi, everybody. Wow, what a year it has been. Really happy to be here. I kind of am still a little bit in shock. I kind of can't believe how things have grown so much in this time. Um, so I thought I'd start off this little presentation by telling you a little bit about me. Um, I am I've been on Etsy since 2006. I make this stuff. I am the Cheshire Cat in the photo in this slide. Now, in talking to other Etsy sellers about all the recent platform changes, I've noticed that those of us who are really unhappy, we have a few things in common. Typically, we're people whose items take a long time to make, or we're people who sell one of a kind things, or people who make things to order for customers. I check all three of those boxes. So if you are one of those sellers that is really fed up with the changes at Etsy, I feel your pain. As part of my presentation, I thought we'd have fun. We are going to play a game of trivia. It'll test your knowledge of Etsy and some of our movement too. If you know the answer to a question, type it in the chat. Our original focus group of 150 sellers found each other on Reddit when I made a post about how we needed to band together and fight back. What was the title of my post? Was it A, we need to plan an Etsy strike, or B, we need an Etsy sellers union? Which do you think it was? Type the answer in the chat. Ooh, I'm impressed. Most of you got it. It is B, we need an Etsy sellers union. Although, if you had answered an Etsy strike, I would completely understood. We have kind of been all about an Etsy strike for a very long time. But from the beginning, this was supposed to be an Etsy seller union. The strike was only the beginning. And there's my post. Now, second question. Before our Etsy strike gained international press coverage and reached 82,000 people in only 4 weeks' time, there were other vacation mode strikes. When was the first Etsy strike? Does anybody know when the first Etsy strike? It was called Protesty, if that gives you a little bit of a clue. This one is kind of a tough one because it was a long time ago. The correct answer is 2012. Now, the first strike, I knew all about it. Back in those days, Etsy didn't have to try to lure us to the forums with should post about your 100th sale type pop-ups. We actually hung out there and talked to each other. That strike happened because people reported a shop for reselling, and Etsy investigated and found that the seller was actually making items, but that they had hired help. Not all of us agreed with that strike. Some of us were like, Etsy investigated and they said they have information we don't that proves the person does belong on Etsy. Okay. This next one is also going to be really tough unless you've been on Etsy for a really long time, but let's see if you know. Can you tell me who this guy is? Does anybody know? All right, on I go with the tough questions. I'll go ahead and let you guys know. This is Chad Dickerson, Etsy's CEO back in 2012. Now, I mention him because Etsy was so different back then, and how they responded to the strike tells us a lot about it. It was everybody pretty much knew about it because we were so small and we were so close knit. And then on May 9th, the day before the strike was supposed to happen, Etsy revealed that they had become a certified B Corp, or a corporation for public benefit. It's really interesting. We can see right on this announcement that Etsy gives a reason why they became B Corp certified. We believe that business has a higher social purpose beyond simply profit. When they did that to us sellers, it felt like they were saying, we see you, we hear you, We don't agree, but we understand that you need assurance that we still have your best interests at heart. Here you go. Here's the proof. All right. Next question. I think you guys know who this guy is. This is Josh Silverman, Etsy's current CEO. But does anybody know when he became the CEO of Etsy? Waiting. It was in 2017. Now, after that, things started changing at Etsy a lot. In November of 2016, Josh Silverman joined Etsy's board. In May of 2017, the board fired Chad Dickerson and replaced him with Silverman. In May through June of 2017, Etsy laid off almost 25% of his workforce. In December 2017, Etsy dropped B Corp certification. In July of 2018 was the first transaction freeze, 3.5% to 5%. July 2019 was Etsy's free shipping push. May 2020 was when off-site ads charges started, and that added a 12 to 15% fee on some of our sales. And then July 2021 was the Star Seller Program. And April 22, the second transaction fee increase, which we all know very much about. I was active on Etsy all the way from 2017 through the beginning of the strike in 2022. For more than a decade, it was great, and it felt like I had a solid foundation to build my business on. But then in the last 4 years, with change after change, that's been really good for Etsy, but not so good for us. It's like trying to build a business on shifting sand. A lot of us, we know we should leave and try to make it on our own, but how? It's about all we can do to keep our heads above the quicksand. And it would be one thing if Etsy were getting better as it's getting bigger, but it's not. It's getting worse. All right, I am going to get off my soapbox for a little bit now. We're going to get back to our game of trivia. Next, we have a true or false. The most important demand to the Etsy strike of 2022 was cancel the fee increase. True or false? False. This was never about the fee increase. Yeah, it sucks to have to continually charge our customers more and more to keep up with Etsy's desire to rake in a continual growing percentage of our sales. But that's not our biggest issue. We did a user poll way back in the day before the strike started on Reddit. We asked everyone, if Etsy were to agree to one and only one of our demands, which one would you want it to be? The fee increase was pretty high up there because it was fresh in everyone's minds, but it wasn't the one. What do you think? Which demand was most important to our early supporters on Reddit? Was it A, crack down on resellers masquerading factory-made items as handmade? B, better support for shops affected by AI? C, end the Star Seller Program? Or D, make off-site ads optional, not mandatory? It looks like we're getting a bunch of random guesses. Resellers was the one. That was the one that everybody cared about most. Now, a disclaimer. When we say resellers, we do not mean people that design their items and use production partners. We mean people passing off items mass-produced in sweatshops that they did not design themselves as handmade. It makes sense that would be high on the list because it's horrible for the long-term success of Etsy itself. Yeah, they can make a ton of profit if a bunch of buyers get tricked into spending 3 times as much for an Amazon or an AliExpress product because they think it's handmade, but then those buyers don't come back. And that's horrible for all of us. You know how Etsy was a B Corp for so many years? Part of being a B Corp is you have to be transparent. You have to issue reports to let everyone know exactly what is going on inside your company. Etsy issues transparency reports every year, something they started doing when they were a B Corp. When they stopped being a B Corp, they waited a couple years to stop putting the data on those transparency reports. Because of that, We have data from Etsy that tells us exactly why the reseller problem has gotten so bad. What you see from 2014 to 2017 is a growing platform with quite a few people trying to get in that aren't supposed to be there. And you see Etsy handling it by closing those accounts, the pink bars in the graph, and getting better and better at handling the problem over time. Now, keep in mind, the end of 2017 is when all those changes happened and Etsy decided to drop B Corp certification. In 2018, there's more flags, but only about a tenth of the account closures. It's even worse in 2019. Then in 2020 and 2021, there's a ton of reports, but no data at all on reviews or closures. Just paragraphs of corporate speak about how important marketplace integrity is to Etsy. I found this data really. When I found it, I realized I had been giving Etsy the benefit of the doubt. I figured the reseller problem was just something that had gotten out of hand over the years as the platform grew. This looks like they just stopped enforcing their own policies. And then think about everything in combination. They stop enforcing their own terms, do more and more with AI bots instead of actually paying human employees. They keep raising our fees. And when buyers stop coming back, they keep new ones coming in by starting an ads program that they force us to pay for. And then that's not even enough. They got to come up with another program to micromanage us and see just how much they can get out of us on a daily basis. Over the years, those who can get out do. And then that makes things even worse for the people that are left behind. And then eventually, Etsy becomes known as the place where you can go to get scammed into paying 3 times as much for something because you think it's handmade. We have to band together to fight back. These changes hurt sellers, they hurt customers, and they hurt Etsy itself. Too many people depend on Etsy. We have to fight to make our voices heard, to make the needs of sellers known. We have to fight to make Etsy a platform where both Etsy and Etsy sellers can thrive. It will be hard. We're going to have to keep at it and we can't give up. But I believe in us and I'll tell you why. If anyone can do it, we can. Have you ever thought about all the things you got to be good at to run a successful Etsy shop? First, you got to have some sort of creative skill, like an artisan craft or something you're good at designing, or the ability to curate a cohesive collection. That's creative too. You got to be good enough at math to figure out prices that work for what you're selling. You got to write persuasive product descriptions. Yeah, I know Etsy hides them, but you want them to be there for the people that manage to find them. You got to be good at time management. On platforms like Etsy, there's something I like to call the product creation treadmill. You have to keep producing new things on a regular schedule, or the algorithm will decide you are irrelevant. And a lot have incredible computer skills too. Social media marketing, video production, web development, programming, graphic design. Put a bunch of Etsy sellers together in a room and the skills add up like you wouldn't believe. What happens when a ton of exceptional people join together and work towards a single goal? We're about to find out. And let's talk about what accomplished so far. With zero advertising and a 100% word of mouth movement, we managed to get an online petition to reach 82,000 people in only 4 weeks. We made so much noise that the founder of Etsy, Rob Kalin, couldn't stay silent. He hadn't posted on Twitter in 7.5 years, but he tweeted in support of us. We reached the founder of Etsy, and he supports us. That's about the best proof we could possibly get that we're working for a just cause. Now, Rob Kalin is the founder of Etsy, so he's the original CEO too. And the day after he sent that tweet, Etsy's current CEO, Josh Silverman, also had something to say about Etsy sellers. And I quote, "Each of our sellers is a blade of grass in a tornado. They're someone you haven't heard of." Well, I guess it's fitting that Josh Silverman compared us to blades of grass because it doesn't get any more grassroots than this. So, moving forward, we aren't about an Etsy strike anymore. The Etsy strike was just our first step, and it was a pretty impressive step. We made a big sacrifice, and we did get something out of it from Etsy. They aren't admitting that the changes to the Star Seller program were in response to the strike. Yeah, sure, Etsy. They just happened to occur right after the strike, and they just happened to match exactly what we were saying about why it sucked in all those interviews. Now, the changes to Star Seller don't touch a lot of the problems we're having with Etsy. What it shows us is that it's possible to influence them to make changes if we make enough noise about what it's actually like for us on the platform. With a caveat, whatever we do, we need to make sure that we do not hurt other Etsy sellers. So, a caution, don't tell people not to shop on Etsy. Too many of us depend on Etsy to make a living. What we want to do is tell our supporters to do some research. Google the shop names of your favorite Etsy shops and check to see if any of them are trying to build an independent online shop. It's really hard to do. And when our customers come support us on our independent stores, we appreciate it so much. We are just getting started, but we already have something cool to show you today. I'm about to reveal for the first time ever our brand new seller member directory. And I was going to have this prepped in a tab, but thanks to our technical difficulties, I failed to do that. So now I have to actually type it into the address bar. So give me a second. Oh, indiesellersguild.org/shops. These work. These load. So now we wait on it to load. Here we go. Member shops. Oh yeah, and it's really weird because I had to lower it, but so this is gonna it'll look a little bit different. This is like shrunk way down. So this is like what it would look like on a tablet, on a computer. It looks a little bit different. But so here is the seller directory in its very, very first form. We are still working on it. There will be more stuff. But we're gonna basically it'll be a place where you can post your shop and the shop you want people to shop at, versus the one that charges you very high fees. Or, you can post your Etsy shop too if you want. You know how I talked about resellers? No resellers here. We have actual people verifying each Indie Sellers Guild member, and we've worked hard on a verification system that is fair and transparent and lets the indie sellers in but keeps the resellers out. Right now, you can search by names and categories and keywords. And on your member profile, there is a link that supporters can click on to shop from you wherever you prefer. Our sellers also get verified guild cards and badges to display so that customers on any platform can shop to them at confidence. Now, this is going to look a little different than because I'm logged into my shop. So the member shops is from in the menu, but if you're logged out, there's like our members and it's all by itself. The seller member badges, a little preview of them is right here. They're all designed to be overlaid over stuff. And then here's the seller membership cards. We've got 4 of them right now. We'll probably change out some of the colorful ones for fun stuff, for different time periods. All of this is just the window dressing. The real thing we offer is the ability to unite, to not be alone anymore. It's a whole lot easier to get out of that quicksand when there are other people around to give you a hand up. We're going to keep putting pressure on Etsy to do better. Right now, they're trying to force US-based sellers to give our bank account info to a third-party service that's been embroiled in lawsuits over privacy violations. We are fighting that. We have people who have signed up to help with outreach and a long list of journalists who have their eyes on us because of what happened with the strike. We are going to spread the word about the injustices we face as sellers in the platform economy. Does it feel like Etsy just doesn't listen to you anymore? We will give you a voice. More information on our next steps will be posted very shortly. Please make sure to follow us on your social media of choice and check back for updates so the algorithm can't hide it from you. We're going to work together and we're going to build something new, something amazing, something that hasn't been seen before. Let's do this.